Yesterday I finished reading Feed by M.T. Anderson. I've been reading this book for a while. It's taken me a little while to get through because I've been doing stuff, I've been busy. But, oh my goodness, it was amazing. Such a great concept. So this book is set in the future. It's a kind of a dystopian novel and an apocalyptic novel at the same time. It is basically about how technology is going to take over our lives in the next however long, and it's basically about these things called feeds that have been implanted into everybody's brains, and the internet is now a part of our systems, our bodies, and our mind. So you have the internet and this thing called the feed connected to your brain so that you have adverts flashing across your eyes all the time, you can play music through your brain, and you have this instant messenger thing in your head. Sounds pretty cool, right? Not that cool. So the main characters in this book, Titus and Violet, are obviously connected in some way. So basically Titus and his friends go to the moon one day, just casually, and they meet this girl called Violet, and Titus is completely mystified by her because she's so different to any other girl he's ever seen anywhere else. And naturally they sort of get together a little bit, and they all go to a nightclub on the moon. But this guy is walking around and he hacks them, and that means that their systems were hacked so that they were shouting propaganda in this nightclub. So they're all taken to hospital and their feeds are shut off for a couple of weeks. And whilst they're in the hospital, Titus and Violet get pretty close and everything heats up a little bit. And so their feeds get fixed and sorted out and switched back on, so everything's fine and they all go home. Violet's feed, however, has not quite been properly fixed, so she's still waiting on a few things to go back to normal. But they all go home and spend some time together, and it's basically the relationship between Violet and Titus. And I'm not going to say too much about the plot, I'm going to try and give a vague overview, but what happens is Violet wants to fight against the feed, and she starts making up this very hard to read personality. Because her feed is still malfunctioning, she can build a whole new her that they won't be able to read, because they read what you like, they take in your interests and see what you like to buy, and they'll advertise things to you. So she's fighting against this consumerist government who wants all of these feeds to just directly influence everyone's lives. And it escalates quite quickly, and then something really bad happens, and Violet isn't really the same anymore. I don't want to say so much because it's really good. I could explain the entire book. Long story short, it's set in the future, it's really amazing, and you must go read this book. If I had a feed, I would advertise this book to you. So yeah, the characterization was really great. I warmed very nicely to Violet because I'm kind of one of those people that's a bit of an outsider sometimes, a lot of the time, maybe all the time, and I don't usually feel like I fit in that well because I'm a little bit weird, but it's fine. But I sort of connected with her quite well because her feelings of being outside, because she got the feed late and everything, I sort of connected to her. And then Titus I warmed to, and then something happened near the end and I hated him for a little while, and I still kind of hate him a little bit. The layout and sort of structure of this book is really great because there are these sort of advertisements in between sort of all the chapters, and it sort of distances you from the actual story for a little bit and shows you what it's like to have this feed constantly bombarding you with consumerist advertisements and all of these things. And I really, really liked how the end of the book, don't worry, this isn't a spoiler, was such an anticlimax with that consumerist message. It's got such a strong message and it's very close to home. You kind of think, now that they've brought out the Google glasses, obviously, that's kind of like the feed. And I was reading it thinking, oh my goodness, this is actually possible, this could happen. So it's really eye-opening actually, and it makes you want to look after our planet and our culture now, and to stop reading dying out, because whoa, this is what could happen if reading dies out. So yeah, this book is incredibly easy to read and it's very fast paced. The chapters are very short, which means brownie points for me, because I love short chapters because it makes everything so much more snappy and awesome. The development of the actual world, the futuristic world, isn't like some other dystopian novels I've read. They don't spend ages going on about the history of the dystopian sort of universe that they're living in. It kind of just throws you straight in, which I really liked, but it's kind of confusing to start off with because there's all of these phrases, like they use this thing called meg brag, and it's kind of like slang that they use, but you cotton onto it really fast because you know the gist of what they're saying. It just makes it all the more personal to that world, and you get thrown into their world and you feel like you're actually involved in this era. It's not, you don't feel like you're reading it from the era that you're in now. You don't feel like you're reading it from the 21st century. You feel like you're there, especially with the feed inputs and everything. So I don't know why I'm using my hands so much today. I'm just getting really excited because this is such an awesome book. But yeah, the message with this book is really great, and I think that it's a very eye-opening and good book to read, especially if you like technology and at the same time you like reading and things like that, because I think it brings the two together and makes you realise how important it is not to lose sight of what's traditional in some ways. Overall, I would probably give this book 5 stars out of 5. I'm doing this a lot recently. I've just been reading some really great books. What is the sun even doing? I'm trying to film! Please! Please bring back the light! The light! Okay. Thank you. Right.